Kia has refreshed the Kia Sportage for 2026, and honestly, I don't know if I think this is a better design than the old one, because the old one was so unique. It just looks so special with this alien front face. Now it looks more static. It looks maybe a little better, objectively. I'm not sure. We're gonna have a look at the old one compared to the new one from a front, side, and rear, and also the interior, which I do. Again, I think I prefer the old interior just because of the new steering wheel design, but the rest looks very clean for the interior of 2026. Before we jump into Photoshop, though, let's have a look at this article from Car and Driver, and I'm going to link it down below, and let's see what this is all about when it comes to the spec and tech for the 2026 Kia Sportage. It gains chunkier styling, says Car and Driver, and upgraded technology. It looks more conventional for 2026 with a more upright front end, while the cabin sports a new screen and also this new steering wheel. You have a new curved display and an optional 10-inch head-up display that can display turn-by-turn navigation. I do believe that is augmented navigation that they had in the Kia EV6, for example. It's also offered in two new trims, and the hybrid and plug-in hybrid variants receive slight horsepower increases, very, very slight here. I'm going to show you that in a minute. The boomerang-esque white LED running lights in the headlights has been turned orange and flipped around. They're more static now and more in line with the rest of the Kia lineup from 2024 moving forward. The headlights themselves also got chunkier and more vertical, sitting on either side of the boxier grille. Is it bumper headlights? I think they are bumper headlights. We're going to explore that later in Photoshop. The taillight shape remains the same, so the outline of the taillights are exactly the same, but the internal graphic features are new. So the LEDs inside of this framing for the taillights are brand new. The front and rear bumpers have also been restyled, and the Sportage will be offered in 17, 18, or 19-inch wheel designs. Personally, I'm definitely going to go with 19s because it's still a pretty big SUV. You want to have the wheels fill out these wheelhouses. And who are going to take their Sportage off-road? Not many people, so you don't need a lot of rubber. You can just make the wheels a little bigger. Looks better. More rectangular and curved display featuring a standard 12.3-inch touchscreen. Kia says the trim on the center console, and this is actually a good thing here, has been reworked to minimize finger smudges. That is something that I was not a fan of in the pre-facelift Sportage. It was a lot of gloss black. It got very dirty very, very quickly, and the steering wheel is restyled with a two-spoke design now. It's not a bad-looking steering wheel. I think I just prefer three-spoke steering wheels generally. A digital key feature that allows owners to use compatible smartphones and smartwatches to remotely lock, unlock, and start the vehicles, and also remotely adjust the climate control settings is now a feature here as well for the 2026 model year. Owners can also customize their infotainment system with their favorite NBA team's logo and colors. Feels very random to me. Is it a surplus of NBA fans that buy Kia? Why can't it be the NHL teams? I don't know. Just having your favorite NBA team's logo's color it just feels weird to me. Very random to just choose NBA. The turbocharged, maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. The turbocharged 1.6-liter four-cylinder powertrain in the hybrid and plug-in hybrid models have been treated to a few extra horsepower for 2026. The standard Sportage hybrid now produces 231 horsepower. You got 4 extra horsepower for 2026. That is fantastic to see. While the plug-in hybrid now churns out 268, which is up by 7 ponies. Not bad at all. At least it's a little bit extra for 2026. The 2.5-liter four-cylinder in the non-hybrid models continue to produce only 187 horsepower, which I feel maybe is a little too weak for this type of package. I want to have at least 250 horsepower in this one. All-wheel drive Sportages also gain a new terrain mode for driving in snow, mud, or sand. The Sportage S slots in between the base LX and EX, while the new hybrid X line that also has a different styling in the front end joins the lineup as well. At the top of the pack is the SX Prestige. Now, the Sportage S Hybrid comes standard with wireless phone mirroring, front and rear USB-C charging ports, heated front seats, a power-adjustable driver's seat, 18-inch black wheels. I guess Kia is still sticking with this trend of black wheels for most of their models now, among some other goodies. And the new X-Line Hybrid adds features including a standard wireless charger, LED fog lights, a panoramic sunroof, and 19-inch Also, again, black wheels. So the pricing for this, we don't have the pricing for this yet. But as always, you can always expect it to go up by a couple of $100. I don't know. They say here probably start around $28,565 all the way up to $41,065 for the top of the line plug-in hybrid variant. So with that said, let's jump into the fun stuff here. Let's talk about this design. What's going on with Kia? What are they doing? Is it a better design than old Sportage, or is it not as good as old Sportage? As I said, I think it looks good, but I don't think it looks as unique as it did with old model here. And this honestly feels more sporty, and then in the name Sportage, I think it's supposed to be a little bit more sporty than stately. The new one right here to the right side, on the right side here, you can see that it has a lot more vertical design here with the graphics, which is, again, it's not a bad thing, but I think this would probably be more of a Sorrento design, the bigger brother, and still have some more sporty attributes for the for the smaller Sportage. And I think we had that in the pre-facelift, and I feel like this was just introduced. Either time is just going faster and faster, or car companies are just mid-cycle refresh their models a lot sooner, because I feel like car companies these days just push out the mid-cycle refresh very, very fast, and I feel that happened here with the Sportage as well. You can see that this is one type of styling for the lower section of the bumper here for the new Sportage. We have another design for, I do believe maybe it was the hybrid that has more of a rugged design down here, something that looks like this. But this actually looks very good. I like this design because we have the amber daytime run lights now, which looks very clean. And again, we have this feature. We have a thicker piece at the end points of the LEDs. You can see that down here as well, how it's thicker down here. And this is a typical Kia design feature that they're just implementing on every single model right now. The main headlights are, of course, these ones right here. 4 big LED, full LED headlights. It looks to have full LED fog lights down there as well. We do have the Tiger nose still intact. It's almost like a double Tiger nose, because we have it up here, first of all, with these two trim levels here, trim pieces right here, and then it comes back in the lower section, again in the lower part of the grille. We have some black graphics inside of the bumper here as well that I don't know if I like that or not. It kind of breaks up the body panels, but this black piece here feels a little bit unnecessary to me. But again, it's a cool looking design. Kia definitely has a lot of fun designing their cars these days. You can see that here in this refresh as well. Now, looking at the side view here, this being a mid-cycle refresh is not going to make big changes to the side view here. It's not going to happen on a mid-cycle refresh, but we still have the shoulder line that we had in the pre-facelift, and this curvature down low that looks very interesting. Unique curvature there, muscle over the rear axle looking great, and I do like this sloping roofline that we have up top here as well. Wheels, not a huge fan of these wheels, to be honest, and I'm not a fan of these new wheels either. They look way too like boxy shapes inside of the spokes. I don't know. Personally, I would definitely switch these wheels out. But it looks like now we still had a connection here from the corner of the headlight here into the shoulder line. We still have sort of a connection here because we have a little bit of a crease here that then continues again into this same shoulder line that we had in the pre-facelift. The curvature down here is still intact, and of course the roofline being the same because this is just a mid-cycle refresh. The rear end looks a little bit different. We have new bumpers in the front and the rear. Again, these wheels, switch them out immediately because I'm not a fan of those at all. I would definitely put something else on there. Now, looking at the rear taillights, we talked about the outline for the taillights looking exactly the same as the pre-facelift. And again, I think I prefer, this is the problem when you do a mid-cycle refresh and you feel like you have to, every single time you do a mid-cycle refresh, what happens is they change a lot in the front end because that is the face of the car. They want to have a new fresh face. And then they sort of want to change stuff, a few things in the rear, but they don't want to spend too much money on that because the rear end doesn't really matter as much as the front end. So we keep the same outline for the taillights here. And these internal pieces for the pre-facelift, these were designed with this framing in mind, meaning that the LEDs in here follow nicely what's going on in the framing of the taillights. So now if we want to have our mid-cycle refresh and we want to do something fresh but not spend too much money, meaning we still want to have the same housing for it, now we need to come out with a secondary idea of how we want these internal pieces to fit the framing that we have in the pre-facelift, and that is what happened here. You can see that this feels a little forced, like these LEDs are forced into fitting inside of this framing. You can see just how big this black piece is here. Feels redundant to me, and so does this piece. This is just leftovers from the original idea with the LEDs in the center. So now they just decided to create something new. Still looks decent, but I feel like the internal pieces here feels way too static for the outline or for the original framing of the taillight that we have in the pre-facelift. And again, further down low, we do have a new bumper. This island here, this gray island, silver island, not a huge fan of this. I would much rather have this be probably just black this out. Let's see if we can do that real quick and see what that would look like. If we just black this out and have it be not silver, to sort of blend into the rest of the body, I think that would actually look better and not stick out as much as we were to have this as we have right now in silver. As you can see, it just looks like it sticks out too much. And again, I think I again prefer the pre-facelift here compared to the new one. Specifically in this stream, you probably have two different versions like we have in the front end for the new 2026 Sportage as well, two designs in the rear, but this just looked better. I don't know why, it just feels more simplistic than what we have here. I'm not a fan of this silver bumper piece there. Now last but not least, the interior. So as you can see, we do have a new situation down here. So this material, instead of having to be gloss black like it used to be in the pre-facelift, which again left a lot of fingerprints all over this surface, this area got a lot, very dirty, very quick. But the functionality of it is great because you can see that we have the buttons and dials, thankfully, for the climate control settings. And I do think the integration of the gauge cluster and the infotainment screen look pretty decent here. You can see how the vent, for example, follows the same outline as we have on the infotainment screen here. So we have a connection between the graphic pieces, making everything feel welcomed in the interior and making it feel like everything is supposed to be there. And we have similar styling with the integration of the screens now, but now it's a lot more static, it's a lot more boxy. We don't have this angle in this area and going down like this, like we used to have in the pre-facelift right here. Now it's just a straight line here, and we don't have the vent on this side again either. Instead, the vent is located down here, which it was here as well, but we don't have this additional vent like we had in the pre-facelift. Thankfully, look at this, we still have the separate control unit down here for the climate control settings, so not everything being located down here in a bar in the infotainment screen. This is so much better, and I also like this area better. If we can just slap this type of finish onto the pre-facelift, I would prefer the pre-facelift in this case as well. Again, the steering wheel here, the two spoke steering wheel, looks decent, looks pretty futuristic. I do like this chamfer that we have going on down here at the bottom, but I prefer always, pretty much always, to have three spokes like this. It just makes for a much more sporty design, and that is the reason why I prefer the pre-facelift steering wheel as well. So I mean, as you can hear, it feels like I prefer maybe the pre-facelift here because it looks sportier. It looks like a smaller sibling to the Sorento with a little bit more sporty styling, more soft styling in the front end, and unique styling as well. But the overall design for this, it makes it in line. What Kia has done here for the 2026 model here is just to make it feel more in line with the rest of the refreshes they've been doing for the last couple of years, specifically with the LEDs in the front end, and have a continuity across the entire lineup of their Kia cars.